and welcome everybody to We Started a Business, Send Help. So today we're on episode 10, crazy, and we're going to be talking about showing up as your true, authentic self in business. So today we've got the lovely Beth Taylor, who is a psychic channel and guide in soul alignment and life transformation.
Yeah. So Nick and I have both been helped by Beth, and we know what a transformation she can do for people. You might think, why on earth have we got a psychic on a business podcast? But you have no idea. So she helps people connect with their spirit, their soul, so they can expand, grow, and find their purpose. Her grounded, warm, accessible approach means that she's helping so many people, and her business, since she started around 5 years ago.
It's actually probably about 3. But
Is that it?
yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Has grown and grown and grown, proving that when you follow your purpose, then great things can happen. Beth now works with extremely high-end clients and spaces, including Dalesford, Notting Hill. She started off in Warwick and going to Birmingham as well.
Yeah. Just growing and growing.
Growing and growing. So this episode is all about showing up as your true self in business, what that looks like, how to get past your fears, how to find your authentic self, and and succeeding by doing that. I'm so excited. So yeah, Nick, first question then.
Here we go. Are you ready? Okay. So you were a beautician before you did this.
Yeah, so I used to tattoo eyebrows.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I need to be that. And lips. I've got gaps.
Areolas, also did medical tattooing.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you kind of like pivot from the beauty world to where you are now? Because I guess having your eyebrows done and stuff like that could be quite surface level for some people. How do you go from that to sort of like deep soul work?
I think it's an interesting one because, yes, on the face of it has changed entirely.
Yeah.
But I think most people who work in any form of beauty or in therapy of any description naturally holds a space for someone.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I also used to do partially some of that work. Yeah, when I was tattooing eyebrows, because the process would generally take about 2 hours. So over 2 hours spending time one-on-one with someone, you really bond and you really connect. And that person on the table, particularly because it was always like quite a trust exercise anyway, in trusting someone with your face.
Very intimate.
Yeah,
isn't it?
blimey.
You just get past.
Definitely. So they would naturally sort of open up anyway.
Yeah.
What I hadn't really realised is that some of the wisdom that I perhaps was coming out with was channeled at the time.
So were you completely not aware?
No.
So you were doing that anyway, but you weren't aware of like your gifts.
No. And then when I did become aware of it, I was exhausted doing appointments because effectively they were getting a double treatment. They were getting my creative, kind of input, and they were also having that. So I thought, I can't do this anymore. And also it wasn't really fair to the client in terms of they were getting more than they perhaps came for. So I was like, oh no, I need some boundaries around this.
Well, the concentration on doing like the aesthetics would have been a lot.
Yeah.
And that on top as well.
So I was literally destroyed by the time I got home.
Exhausted. But so you started to become aware of your abilities and your intuition, but that's quite a leap to sort of stop one thing and start another. So how did that manifest? Like, how did it start?
So fortuitously, to some extent, it was around COVID times.
Okay.
So I had this hiatus, I suppose, where I was able to work on my gifts, begin to try and understand them, begin to put in the necessary boundaries that they needed. And although when I went back after COVID times doing, my mainstay in the beauty side of things, it was definitely like I knew by that point it wouldn't be long before I'd have to make that transition.
Oh, it's good. Because that is, but also, how did it sort of happen? Were you starting to get more insight into your clients, or were you starting to feel pulled into something? Because I guess a lot of people know in their gut when something doesn't sit right, and something doesn't feel right. Was it that kind of feeling where you were doing the work that you trained for and you were doing your appointments, but there was something that wasn't sitting right, or
Yeah, definitely. And I remember I had one lady, I mean, gosh, so much happened, but I had one lady in particular who'd come in, and I knew she was going to have an allergic reaction
before she.
Yeah, and she'd been patch tested, and I was like, and it was to tattoo her lips.
Ooh,
So
don't want an allergic reaction.
no, you really don't. Absolutely not. So I was like, oh gosh, like I don't know how to broach this with her. And then I did an additional scratch test behind her ear, and sure enough, she reacted, but in a way that was more contained than had I have actually put the pigment in her.
So you knew then?
Yes. And I was like, oh God,
Okay.
really got to do something with this. And yeah, I mean, there were so many nudges. And then the day that I finally thought, oh my goodness, I've got to totally transition, I had a lady come in. She was there ready on my couch, ready to have her eyebrows done. And I had 4 tattoo machines, and all 4 broke.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was
in the
kind of
appointment.
pushed. Yeah, so I was kind of pushed into it, and I was like, okay, I'm really sorry that I've wasted your time.
Yeah.
I had a higher calling.
This is it. But so she must have thought I was absolutely batshit, really. But
And then what? You went home and you
Hey,
spoke to your husband. Like, when did you say?
yeah, I mean, he knew it was coming.
Is it because when you had the time that it got louder?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically what had happened, one of the initiators,
I wanna know, like,
when I looked back, there's just, honestly, I do need to write a book on it, because it is funny, really.
Yeah.
There was a whole period where I was overcoming sort of chronic illness.
Yeah.
And I was really on that health journey. And really what you're doing when you are tackling your health is clarifying your body so that you can become more of a pure channel. So there was that was in the run up. That should have been a cue, but obviously I didn't know what I was looking at. And then we went to Angkor Wat in Cambodia in February 2020.
Wow.
And literally it was like the lid just came off my crown chakra.
What do you mean by that? So you were there and you just felt more
It
of
was
you,
a
or did you
spontaneous
feel...
awakening. Yeah, I knew I'd been there before. I just had this weird feeling of huge resonance, and I didn't even really have the words for it then. It was like the dials were turned up on all my different senses, so everything became overwhelming. So it was quite, again, fortuitous that COVID happened, because I needed that break away, because I couldn't go around a supermarket without just being overwhelmed. Because I'm an open channel. So that means I can communicate with any consciousness that wishes to be in touch.
Is that because you weren't
to engage?
You weren't
with it.
protected?
Yes, I wasn't protected, and I didn't know what I was doing. So energetically, as a channel, as someone who's empathic as well, so this will apply to a lot of the listeners, you stray into other people's energy fields to go, are you okay? And then you have a feel around in their energetic field to kind of assess that. So when you don't have control of that, you're trespassing all the time in people's energies, which
That's
is
intense.
obviously, super intense.
Okay, so you had this awakening in Cambodia.
Yeah.
And then you came back, so you had the space. And then I guess like everybody at that time, everybody was questioning, what was going on, what they're going to do, how are they going to do their business, how are you going to get an income?
Yeah.
So was it the fact that you sort of had some conversations, or was it very natural what happened?
It was all natural, yeah. Looking back, I just had to ride it out with everyone else. In the meantime, I was creating those boundaries, learning a lot more about it myself, having not realised, really acknowledged that I was a hugely intuitive child. I'd always had the gifts.
Yeah.
And then it took a lot, obviously, at various points in time, certain woundings that made me suppress them and not feel safe to actually have them out in the open. Because actually looking back, I, used to make a lot of people feel hugely uncomfortable, particularly in my family.
But did you feel like things started to make sense more as you as a person? Like all those little things that kind of out on a limb, not quite understanding.
All of a sudden, everything made sense.
Yes.
There was just so many pieces that then
burn them. They blew up, so it's fine.
Although, do you know what? It was only a few weeks ago I finally got rid of all the other bits.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So you've got your beauty business. You've realised you've had this moment in Cambodia. Like, how then did you progress from do what you do now and kind of closing that down and make the transition?
I knew that I
Did you do?
had to go professional doing my psychic work, and literally the day I felt I began fully doing that without mixing it was probably about 3 days after my dad had died.
Right.
And we had this event planned at Beautiful Elixir in Warwick, and I started doing that, and that was like my break point. And you know, my dad passing as well has informed me so much about what happens on the other side. So looking back, literally every single thing made sense about the whole journey, the whole awakening experience, which was super brutal.
It is brutal, and the fact that, you know, you navigated not just finding a new version of you or the authentic version of you, but also navigating so much world upheaval and personal upheaval.
Yeah.
And so were you working in that space as the beautician?
Yeah.
And then so this is where I know I'm a practical person, so I want the nuts and bolts. So did you walk in then, or did the girls know? Did everyone sort of know?
Very thankfully, the lady who owns the clinic, who's one of my very good friends, Claire at Natural Elixir.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's fabulous. And I feel, so obviously the name of the clinic gives it away, that most of the treatments there on offer were of natural, origins. She does all sorts of wonderful massages. She develops all her own natural product lines.
She's amazing.
And she's a naturopath nutritionist. And then there was a homeopath. There were other people who offered different modalities that were all, again, complementary therapies. Yeah. And there was me tattooing heavy metals into people's faces. And ultimately, I was like, Claire, why do you want me here? But she's actually very intuitive herself.
Is she?
So she always knew ahead of my awakening what, to some extent, I would be going into.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So she was like, no, we need you. I don't know why, but we do.
That's wild, isn't it? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think, like Nick said, when you have time and space away to think, because you're a mum as well, you have got donkeys, you've got a very busy life, and then you were doing your work, to then have that space that the universe basically gave you.
Yeah.
To do that, that's one thing. But then I think to have the courage then to do it and own it, I think that's what a lot of people that we speak to who listen to the podcast, there's some people that want to do that, but they can't get themselves there.
I mean, the fear of judgment, isn't it? Which did you feel that? Or
definitely.
Or when you're on the right path, do you just do it?
No,
anyway,
I mean, gosh, there are so many layers of your ego that you have to get through. And that's not just unique to an awakening journey. That's a human journey. And I do feel that most of the people listening to this, you know, essentially between the ages of about 35 and 42, we all have an awakening of some kind, particularly women. And it's when we're approaching perimenopause and that side of things, there is this switch change in us that goes, right, the soul wants to grab the steering wheel of your life.
Too many goosebumps.
Can we have t-shirts made with that? I think that would be amazing. I guess that's a lot of your clients that you see.
Yeah, totally.
So you help them navigate that through readings, and you do your soul clubs, you have your membership. And, you know, Nick and I were saying you've created such a successful business that is rooted in purpose and a passion for what you do, and you transform people's lives, but you also have to run it like a business.
Yes. Yeah.
So how do you find that, navigating all of, because what you do in a session is very unpractical business-like elements. So do you have to go, right, now I'm going to do the business part of what my work is, and then you leave that, or do you get somebody else to do that part?
I think I've got an accountant, and I'm just about to appoint a VA to do more of that side of things.
Good.
Because it's a bit overwhelming now to try and do all the little background pieces that obviously create the flow.
You can focus on what you're good at, what you're here for.
And this is what we all need to do. This is what the awakening is. It's focusing on what brings you joy, is you're good at, and naturally delivers a great end result for the greater good, which is whoever it is that you're serving. It's interesting with some of the clients that I work with, because you have people working in industries very high profile that are also hugely empathic and have this background question of whether they're doing anything that's of value to the world.
Yeah, it's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, really big thing. And actually what I would say to that is you have no idea the lives that you touch and the people that you inspire by just showing up and actually, most people who are creative, if you think of creativity from an energetic perspective, is your channels. You are actually bringing through creative codes from the spiritual dimensions through your sacral chakra and creating it into whatever it is that you do. So you're imparting beautiful divine codes
into normal life.
Yes. So art that's why it's powerful.
Because it resonates on a level that we don't know.
Yeah, it touches your soul. You're never going to know necessarily what it does to you.
Yeah.
It's unperceivable to the human mind, but your soul exactly knows what's going on.
I think before I came to see you and went to one of your soul clubs, I'd always thought that I had to work on my well-being. So that was my mind, my body, and then I'd focus on work and being a parent, right? Those things. And then when I came, I realized that I had not even paid attention. We always talk about mind, body, and soul, but that last part is, I think a lot of people don't do anything with that.
Yeah.
But it's not as tangible though, is it?
It's
It's
not
like making
tangible.
yourself better or stuff like that.
But I think that gut feeling that you have, so in business or in life or in situations or with friends, when that's your soul at work, I think that gut intuition that we all talk about, and in business terms people say listen to your gut, trust your gut. We use it all the time, but we don't do a lot to connect with that more. And I think when I started to do that more, I started to feel, because I used to have to think, oh, I've got to pretend to be somebody else to be successful in business.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that do the same. You can't be successful unless you are this type of person and get up at 5 a.m. and show the world that you're this business person. But what would you say to that, Beth?
Well, I think it's the opposite approach. So, in that model.
Good.
Yeah. But it's like you are molding yourself to fit an external driver. Whereas actually, when you're your authentic self, you create the audience for you connect with through that frequency of authenticity.
Okay.
So naturally, you attract people who need what you do.
Yeah.
That's like your vibe finds your tribe.
It is. It is true.
It is.
Yeah, it's literally a frequency. And, authenticity, as ridiculous as it sounds, it vibrates higher than love. Because it's your divine truth. It's part of your soul
love
blueprint.
Was
No.
But I guess it's that self-love. You're being
Exactly.
self-love.
It
You're
is
loving
love.
yourself.
It's another form of love.
Yeah.
Because it's honouring your truth.
Yeah.
And exactly your soul blueprint as you came in for. And really, it's interesting. I would love to know the feedback on this, but most of your audience is trying to follow that truth, whether they've acknowledged it as that or not.
Yeah.
And that's what has driven them to become,
Business owners.
The piece of advice I would say is you have to carve out as much time and space for yourself to actually hear your soul, because especially in the world we live in now, there are just so many distractions.
Yeah.
So not only as women, have many of us got children and other dependents. And again, that midlife is when, potentially our parents are actually aging and there's more health concerns. It's like either end, you're in this sandwich where you have obligations. Yeah. And then if you put in social media and all of these harmful habits that we've created that have become like just a go-to, what do? You wake up, you reach for your phone. Well, ultimately, you're in someone else's paradigm. They're actually molding you as you speak. So there's a lot to navigate, and the world is constantly reinforcing what you should be to you.
Yes.
So it's really a case of trying to get back to your sovereignty, your truth, and to block out as many of those distractions as possible in order to actually start listening to yourself. And I do think it's a case of we've always got the answers. You don't actually need to come to me as a sidekick to know your thing. what I really do is bring through the messages that ratify what you already know.
It's like literally creating that space. It's like you've hyper focused on something for a minute, whether that's your mind, body, or soul. If you focus on something, you'll get some answers. But most of us, we just go through the day, through the week, through just numb.
We did an earlier episode about what's your purpose of the business, right? And I think now what this is clear to me is you have, why am I setting up that? Have I spotted a gap in the market? Is it a passion project? But then you have to get that and map it to your purpose, your sole purpose, because it might be a great idea, but if it doesn't fit, you're never going to make a success of it, are you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's a ceiling to success when it's not their sole alignment. So I think if you're in your business currently and there feels like there's this blocker on it, then that might be a question to ask yourself. It might be that you've got, we've got so many limiting beliefs. So there's a whole host of those you can work through as well. But you'll know when that's questions posed to you. If that pricks you now, you'll probably know that there's something to unearth in that, which means that you're not quite in alignment.
And how do you know? So when you made the transition, did you give yourself a set a set amount of time to make it work, or you just knew? And
and it's interesting. I think you're very kindly positioning me as some expert in this, but it was messy. Let me tell you.
Okay. In what way?
Because I had again, my ego got in the way and thought, oh my goodness, how embarrassing that I've had this awakening. So my previous business was in my name, so it was Beth Taylor Aesthetics, and then to change to Beth Taylor Sidekick, there was an in-between where I decided to draft in a pseudonym. And poor Claire, who I used to work with, she was trying to do the marketing for this. I despair at myself. But it was part of that resistance to just owning what I was and that fear of judgment, like you were saying, Nick, previously. And judgment, is all around us. We're not going to escape judgment, but what we can do is alter our relationship with it and not allow it to control us. So it was a gradual process of feeling more and more comfortable in my own skin. And the more I had the feedback, the resonance, the sense of satisfaction about what I was doing, being in alignment with me and feeling good to me, the more my confidence would grow enough to own more of it. Yeah, and I think though what you've got to remember is most of those people judging, they're not your audience. They're not buying off you. Then they don't need your services. They just like to judge and use you as fodder for gossip. And ultimately, what are they doing in their lives? Because quite often we really outsource this validation to people whose opinions we don't even value.
No,
let's be honest.
Yeah. So you had to get past that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So social media was it's a big driver for people's businesses. When you first started going on social media, like how did you feel kind of going from Beth Taylor Aesthetics to Beth Taylor side?
Yeah.
Because the judgment for that, like, I don't know, did that bother you or did you just quite?
It did, but I've just got a lot more at peace with it. I find it funny. I think, do you know, the biggest thing is having a sense of humour. You've just got to. And like the way I see it, and certainly the path that I've experienced over the past 5 years, we're not here for a long time. You know, life turns on a sixpence, and actually we're here to do as much as we can on our soul mission here and get as much goodness out of it in return for what we're putting in as possible. So we've just got to run at it.
Have you got any tips for like women who are really busy and I can't possibly journal? Like, is there anything that you can see that they could do that's quite a small thing that they can build on? Where to start, I suppose?
I think if you carve out even 5 minutes to just sit, as simplistic as that sounds, we don't do that anymore.
No,
we sit and scroll, or we, sit and have some form of activity to do, or watch something.
Yeah,
and I think something to get very conscious over that I think releases people from this, kind of mind trap of busyness is, we have to just watch whether we are creating or consuming.
I guess it's
Ooh.
just it's noticing, isn't it? Just
Mm.
noticing what you're doing, I suppose, and being conscious of that.
It's interesting you said that, Beth. I used to work for a Swedish company, and they had a mindset expert come.
Okay.
And one of the tips they gave us was to block our calendar. Apparently, as human beings, all we do is do. And we had to, our job for the week was to set our calendar as being and doing.
Amazing.
It was, and at first I was like, what's being? And then that was the whole point.
And that's so interesting. do for being, isn't it? Yeah.
What am I going to do for the being part? And I think we're in that fast-paced life, and when you're starting a business or doing something, you feel like you have to do.
Is that more masculine to do, and then the being is a bit more in your feminine?
Definitely. And this is it, like the way our society is primed quite deliberately, I would say, is to keep us in that masculine energy. So particularly as women, you know, we are giving up a significant chunk of our whole essence by engaging with that frenetic pace of life that keeps us, you know, very separate from our own soul.
I feel that. So I just feel that so much, for sure.
It is. And do you think, I guess, with all the clients that you see, are there certain trends? I mean, trends are the wrong words, but themes. So that masculine energy.
Yeah, definitely.
What other themes have you seen that we can sort of be more aware of ourselves? Is there anything?
I think a huge theme most of your audience will resonate with is people pleasing.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I've got no idea.
Yeah, this is it. And it, you know, it's part of being empathic. But being female incorporates a large part of that. So if you're both of those things and, you know, just sensitive in general, chances are you've molded yourself. And again, it's that molding yourself around what you perceive others need. So if you are someone who is attuned to the needs of other people, then there's a natural tendency to just give everything of yourself away and hand everything over to satiate the needs of that person who's seeking something from you. And, you know, a large part of us forms an identity around being that person to give. And, you know, to make the room feel better through elevating the mood. But there comes a point where you have to go, okay, this is literally sidetracking me from everything that's actually good and could benefit even more people.
You know, you mentioned it earlier, you had, you know, health issues. And I think when things are out of kilter, your body will react.
It screams at you. So initially it gives you all the nudges, and you ignore it, and you take a painkiller, and you just drive yourself into the ground, and then it begins to shout louder. So chronic illness, so that is probably a feature in a small proportion, I would say, of my client group, particularly anything that's autoimmune, chronic pain conditions, those sorts of things, which are all, you know, demonstrative of a level of suppression of their own needs.
And also you find a lot more autoimmune diseases in women because, like you just said, we suppress our needs and we give and we people please and we overgive, and then before we know it, we've got an autoimmune
and what I notice from an energetic perspective is in the heart chakra, we register, and this is the body acting as your storage ground for the subconscious mind. We register within that self-abandonment wounds because we constantly, whether it's, you know, sending that email because you think someone's waiting for it whilst you're desperate for a wee, or, you know, something like that.
It's so true.
You know, we do that all the time, and our body's going, oh, you literally just sacrificed me again. You chose something over my needs. So your body is trying to give you all these cues and you're there ignoring it, reinforcing this sense of lack of importance relative to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So we have
so
to
much sense,
really take this back and go, okay, we've been doing everything literally the wrong way around.
It is.
We have to, everything's an internal job. We have to get that environment right before we expect to see success or anything that we really want in life to come to fruition. Because currently, most of us are living someone else's dream. And I know it's become a cliche, but it is that when the oxygen masks drop, You fit your own
Yeah,
first before you help the other people. And people come to me all the time and go, "Oh, I'm really worried about my child." Well, actually, they're worried about you. You're not thriving. They're not going to thrive. So we expect to be solving everything externally, and actually what we just need to create is that internal equilibrium that then cultivates your signal, puts out balance, you get balance back.
Yeah. How do you even go about trying, like, if you're going 100 miles an hour, trying to even reclaim that little bit of balance in your life? I mean,
Well, I think you have to actually go, hang on a minute, what can go?
yeah.
Because, we have all these senses of obligation to all these people and things. Whether it's the PTA, the this, the that, it's all noise.
So boundaries.
Super. Boundaries is the biggest issue I come across at every level of someone's journey.
Yes.
We've got so many layers to it. And definitely start with boundaries. Normally in the home initially, I would say, and then they ripple out into the outside world and making those decisions in business a lot more, kind of free flowing, I suppose. The ones that just feel natural and you're not second guessing yourself. And you have to cross this threshold of almost guilt and shame.
Yes.
And fear of judgment.
Yeah.
But it's just a necessary. And do you know what? If someone does take the hump with you over enforcing a boundary that is really about preserving your health, well-being, and happiness,
they're not worth
do you want them around?
No.
And I think it's always good to focus more on what you feel, as opposed to what you want in form. Like, how do you want life to feel?
Yeah.
And actually, that is a really good indicator of where you then should be directing your attention. So I think that's a good.
I've got this little thing, and it's kind of like, if you imagine the life that you want, not material, just the life how you want to show up, what you want to do every day. I would say, what would she do?
Yeah.
Because it's like, what would the elevated
Nicola
version of you do? She would get up, she would exercise, she would eat well, she would respect herself in eating well and put her boundaries in place. That's what she would do. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's like, even if you don't feel like it, show up and do it. And it can be hard, but you kind of create the little habits, which we talked about in a previous episode. And it's kind of like that then is the foundation to build the life you want. And then as a result of that, everything should flow.
It's true. And I think one of the things my guides say so often is that self-discipline is the highest form of self-love.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
Yeah, and it actually really keeps you on track.
Yeah,
it makes you accountable to yourself, because why are you letting yourself down? Why are you sabotaging?
Yeah.
Because along this journey, self-sabotage is a huge theme.
Yeah.
It rises up and it's like, you're not ready for this, so let's do something about this to
Let's
keep you
really
safe.
fuck it up, put it back in your butt. But just just touch on money, because we know a lot of like women in business and men, but it's the money issue is huge, and people are so stuck around money. And I know personally lots of people who don't charge what they're worth, the products they're selling, the services they're selling. It's such a big theme. What did you do to sort of show up and go, this is my service, it is worth this? And
Yeah, and it takes a while to do it, but again, internal job. So if you focus on your self-worth, it's a lot easier to actually command your price.
Right.
But literally your bank account will correlate to your level of self-worth.
Yeah,
it will. It's a direct correlation. As long as that
bit of work to do then.
But that will change.
That's
You
it.
start to treat yourself better. So when you do that, all of a sudden your self-worth rises. Those abandonment wounds that you create within yourself soften. And then gradually, as your self-worth rises, you can integrate that version into yourself.
And you just become it, don't you? Because the old version falls away because you're doing something new, and then you just don't remember what you used to do.
You collapse all the versions of you in between, and you become that person. And all of a sudden you are ferocious in what you will accept for yourself, which is based on what you rightly deserve, your true value. And it's hugely influential for everyone that you're coming into contact with as well, because you're giving other people permission to do the same.
Yeah.
So it's a very inspirational thing that you will find yourself becoming, that will have a massive impact, actually, just when you begin to own your own worth.
And like you said earlier, Beth, finding your purpose, it's messy. Anyone listening, it's not, or maybe it is for some people really easy and clear, but it's messy, and you shed a lot of things, people, preconceptions, assumptions, the way that you look at the world. You shed a lot of things. It sort of has to burn down before it can go again.
Definitely. Good. You realise that most of what you perceive to be your identity is just hot air and other people's stuff.
Yeah.
And I think one thing the guides explained to me once that has stuck with me so much is that your mind is literally a public space. So once you know that anyone or anything can imprint anything in your mind, all of a sudden you don't take it
everywhere.
No.
Yeah. You're like, you're not coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. You discern what's coming in, and what has already made it in. You have the job of rewriting, but gradually, in a way, as long as you're aware of the fact that you shouldn't be paying attention to something, you're on the right track. But yeah, it's a huge discernment process.
Yeah, that can be messy if we sort of strip it back, because I know we've covered a lot of topics. So for people listening today, I guess the whole thing is finding your true soul purpose. So sit with what you're doing and map those two things over. Does your business or your work you're doing, does it map and evenly fit over, I guess, like a jigsaw puzzle with your soul desire? Make space in your day to listen to yourself. And what else did we say? Yeah, giving the space, self-discipline, show up and try to zone out
and notice.
Notice
the patterns, notice what you're doing, become aware.
Literally, awareness is the key. When we become aware of everything, it means that we take our power back.
And so in the last 3 years, you've built this amazing business, and it's taken you to places that you didn't imagine it would. So what's next for you? What do you hope from your business in the next 3 years?
I just love the people I'm working with, the opportunities that I'm getting. I'd like to do more events, more collaborations, probably some retreats as well, which has been on my list for ages, but just
sounds amazing.
Hasn't made it past.
Well, now you've got your admin sorted.
Maybe.
Your creative space.
Maybe that's why I've been putting it off, because I think I couldn't deal with the admin. That I feel that will be the thing. So I've more recently kind of gone into London. So now I'm at Cloud 12 there. Love Bamford in the Cotswolds, where I'm very happy. It's my spiritual home, such a special place, and I've been so supported. And just open to wherever the path takes me next. I think what I'm committed to is just serving the people that I'm serving. Trying to do it in the most efficient, wide-reaching, impactful way, and living my truth, being the truest version of me that I could possibly be, and seeing where that takes me, because there's always so many more layers to peel back, but I'm here for it all. And I think it's just having that joy of the opportunity of walking this messy human journey and doing it with a smile and with the full intention of extracting all the joy that's available to me.
Oh, that's amazing.
We'll just do what Beth does.
And I think one of the questions I'm sure is, what is the biggest preconception people have about your work?
Probably that I know everything. I don't know what colour knickers you're wearing.
What?
I don't know what
nice one's on for you today.
Because ultimately, and it depends. So when I first had my awakening, because I'm an open channel, I can communicate with anything that wants to have a chat, basically. So I started out with the earthbound spirits, and then I kind of altered my supposed dial to tune into higher dimensional guidance. So my soul mission is definitely to bring through that higher guidance that's for your highest good, for your most optimum soul plan, and not one of your lower timelines. So it's most definitely wanting to get the most out of you, for you, your development as a soul, but also to advance the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
And that's a massive focus for me. Like, what are we all doing within ourselves, within the work that we're doing within ourselves, that's going to affect what's happening in the outside world?
To be honest, I did. I remember you asking me a question and I said, well, Beth, you already know the answer. And you're like, no, it doesn't work like that.
No, actually, no. And way, I'm glad it doesn't, because I would miss out on most of the human connection through being some know-it-all.
Yeah.
But really what I was saying is the higher dimensional guidance, they're not interested in all the things you're worried about generally.
Okay.
Like all the egoic things that, apologizing for the state of our toenails and all the rubbish that we kind of come out with, which is all ego-based. They really don't have any time to entertain. So a lot of people's preconceptions are based around that. They bring messages through that are on a need-to-know basis, really.
Okay.
The important stuff, they're very intentional with what is going to be of benefit to you.
And the wider collective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
we like that.
Yeah. And so if somebody comes to see you for a reading who might not have been to one before, because I remember I was extremely nervous. So what advice would you give them before they come to see you if it's their first time?
When we're told to relax, we never do we? However, because it's for your highest good.
Yes.
The guides are just so, you'll be amazed at how much love comes through for you, so much appreciation. You're being acknowledged at a soul level. So I think it gives people the opportunity to be seen at that level that they've never really experienced before.
No.
Because generally no one knows us better than we know ourselves, really. But to be seen without all the imprints that society gave you and in your raw and edited form there's something special about that that I never know how to particularly convey. But you're never told bad stuff, but you're told how to optimize everything.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's about optimization of everything that's within your control, and coming to peace and acceptance of the things that are outside of it.
And everyone needs a bit of that, don't they?
Beth,
thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. It's such a joy to be with you.
Right, that wraps up episode.
Wraps up
episode 10. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.
That's it for this episode of We Started a Business, Send Help. Our friend Kath is currently creating us a jingle so we can be all profesh. But in the meantime, if something here has helped, or you just like the pod,
you can help us by...
we just keep going.
You can help us by liking and subscribing, or just share the episode.
Or pass it along to another biz owner
who needs help staying strong.
Remember, building a business doesn't have to mean doing it alone.
If you have any questions or ideas for guests, send us a DM on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.